Zach Wilson and the Chiefs, Jets, the whole game last night was actually wild for so many reasons.
Yes.
Because talk about an offense that felt like they were stuck in the mud, and people thought that Zach Wilson was not going to be one to give them any chance to make the playoffs here. That game last night, the Chiefs edge it out, but Zach Wilson, I'll tell you what, he played a tremendous game, and that one fumble that ended up costing the Jets in the long run because the Chiefs never gave the ball back. That was a tough moment to watch with it. But the thing that we were shown was Zach Wilson actually had the best offensive performance by any quarterback to play the Chiefs so far this season.
Yeah.
23-20 final. And the Chiefs were up 17-0 to start off that game. Whammy. I'll be honest. I'll put my hand up. Do you guys think that game was going to be like a 30-point blowout?
Yes. We talked about it. We were like, we weren't even, it wasn't even a thought in our eye that, or in our minds that that the Chiefs were going to lose this game. And my God, the second half of this game was incredible. And really leading up to halftime, you started to feel like the Jets were the momentum was certainly shifting in this game just before halftime.
Yeah, I mean, everything that he did, if you watch the game, I mean, Zach Wilson, better passer rating. He threw 28-39, 245 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He was moving throughout the pocket. He had a couple throws he got away with, but overall he moved that offense, and that was the most success the quarterbacks had on this Chiefs defense. That sneaky is very solid. Patrick Mahomes had a tough time. He only completed 18 passes, and you could argue on a certain defensive holding call that kind of,
that changed the game.
And did not give the Jets a chance to get the ball back. But Zach Wilson, he was visibly upset because he felt like he let his team down. I think this is something that for fans, and you can hear him if you read his lips saying that's my fault, bro. I lost the game.
Yeah.
And I hate that. I think the growth, Rock, I don't know about you, but I think the perception of Zach Wilson has changed a lot in the last calendar year.
I think it has too for a lot of people, but there are still analysts out there that think Zach Wilson is garbage. And I mean, prime example last night with Rodney Harrison, and he's since apologized for this according to reports, but this is just something that you shake your head at, and you don't want to see this on national TV.
Was
like
Zach
this is
better tonight than what you anticipated he would be watching him on tape, and you could be honest.
Honestly, if I'm being completely honest, we knew it was going to be a battle. He's continuing to get better week in and week out, and he's continuing to lead week in and week out.
But watching that tape, man, you got to look at this dude and say, "Oh, he is garbage." Like we should really tear him apart
Earlier, like I said, Zach Wilson is special, man. You just got to give the guy time. You know what I mean?
Wait. Did you say Zach Wilson is special?
Yeah.
I think he had a special night, but I don't think he's special. I've got to prove that over. You're special. Because you proved it over a course of time. He's not special. I'm just saying, Chris.
Hey, listen.
I'm just saying.
Thoughts on that?
I'll say this. Hats off to Chris Jones for being a stand-up guy and kind of keeping that NFL brotherhood real tight-knit and, talking good about guys, because Zach Wilson, he played his butt off in that game. And I don't think that Zach Wilson is garbage. I think that Zach Wilson has a lot of growing to do as a player, and I think he has grown as a player. Prime example, last night, that Sunday Night Football game against the Chiefs, against the defending Super Bowl champs, Zach Wilson probably didn't expect to start a single game this season because of Aaron Rodgers, because they brought him in. And for this guy to go out there and play his heart out, if Zach Wilson went out and threw 4 picks, all right, maybe you can say that. Maybe you can go out and say, oh, Zach Wilson's, but he didn't. He had a really solid performance, and he outplayed Patrick Mahomes in that game. He really did. And I know he's not going up against Patrick Mahomes. He's going up against the Chiefs defense. But for Zach Wilson to go out there and do what he did, I mean, he deserves much more praise than he's getting. And I think for Rodney Harrison, I think that he's been getting a lot of hate for that comment. I don't think it should necessarily be hate. I think it was a mistake for him to do that and for him to say that. And while you might think that as a former defender, okay, we might go into a game thinking this guy's garbage, but I don't think any NFL player really goes into a game thinking a guy is garbage on the other side of the ball, because if you have that mentality, you're going to get walked all over.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's like every time you hear about, and even how many times have we heard Bill Belichick talk about this when, the Patriots are up, or the record is 8-0, right? And they're going against the worst team in the league.
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, this is the NFL football team, and you just never know. That's why they call it Any Given Sunday. And for Rodney Harrison to kind of like bring this up to Chris Jones in a way,
He was baiting him. He wanted him to say something 100%, about it. Yeah,
but
it
was rude as shit at the end of the day, right? Now, I will say that Rodney Harrison did apologize, said that he handled things the right way this morning, and that Harrison is a good man. So it seems as if things were fixed. Yeah, I'm not saying that Rodney Harrison is a bad guy.
No,
but what he said was really shitty. I mean,
yeah, I think that in general, we all are going to say things in moments that we regret. I mean, I have it. I still have moments that I go back and that might have not meant as much to other people as it did to myself. I think we all have that and we're like, damn, I hated how I said that. Rodney Harrison, I guarantee you hated how that came off. In the moment, that was his mistake. He was trying to get an answer out of Chris Jones, was trying to get a reaction, and Chris Jones didn't take it. And again, hats off to him. The part about the disrespectful part of just in general with professional athletes, it's easy to sit here and go, this team sucks. This team's terrible. These are professional athletes. And I saw this in baseball, by the way, because that's the sport I played. Yeah, there are teams that you're going to play against and go, you know what, we should win this, but we got to go out and execute. And that's why even down the stretch with the Orioles and the Braves, two of the top teams in all of baseball, they lost to a team like the St. Louis Cardinals in a series because the Cardinals were playing better baseball at that time. That's the reality of it. Who's better over that period of time? It's not about what's doing for the season. It's that moment. And I think that's where I get pissed off as a former professional player. These guys work their ass off. Just because things aren't going out well. I mean, we talked about like the Denver Broncos have had a rough year. The Chicago Bears have had a rough year. But I'll tell you what, those guys are still fighting their ass off, and you never know what can happen any given Sunday. You brought it up. Chris Jones understands that better than anyone.
Yep.
You got to go out there and
great.
you got to grind. And guess what? Zach Wilson, you could say you don't know what's going to happen. He's still so young. His career is by no means over, and this is him figuring out the next step, not saying he's going to be a superstar. He's going to be a franchise quarterback or even a starting quarterback moving forward. But this is a growth moment for him, and you can ask yourself, was this the best game that Zach Wilson has ever played for the New York Jets? For me, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
That was the best game that he has played, and does that give you hope that they can have a chance to make a little bit of noise this year? I'd say so, especially after last week, everyone jumped off his bandwagon. So I thought it was an awesome moment for him, and kudos to Chris Jones for giving credit where credit was deserved.